you doing, Lauren? How you doing? Thought I'd jump on real quick. I got a little bit of time here. Busy, 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 but I finally got some time to get in and talk some hockey. What do you want to talk about today, man? The whole Matthews incident where he just lost his mind. Gets 2 game suspension, which hurts the team. Uh, doesn't I don't know, man. Toronto goaltending. You're feeling pretty good as a Carolina fan now with how bad Mrazek is. We all knew that was a bad signing when they did it. That's for sure. I don't know what the answer there is for Toronto. Yeah, well, it was pretty. That was going to be a tough game against Pittsburgh for sure. Uh, how is if you got a back-to-back, one of the few teams you want to be back-to-back against is the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially when they're fresh. They were fresh. They played well. I mean, it's just a really tough game. They tried to hold on, but it's not likely you're going to win a game like that. I had Pittsburgh on that one too. It doesn't look like the Canes are going to do much at the deadline. I thought maybe Giroux could go to Carolina, but it's looking more and more like that's going to be Colorado. And actually, the deadline itself does not look like it's going to be like fantastic. There's a lot of Fleury has basically said he doesn't want to be traded, so they're not probably. It looks like he's just going to get through the season and go to Pittsburgh at the end of the season. That's what I think is going to happen. And that makes sense because excuse me. That makes sense because why would you want to weaken your team that you're going to, right? He's a Penguin, always has been a Penguin. It was unfortunate that he moved on the way he did. Little did they know they were making a mistake when they traded him and signed or let him go into Vegas and kept Murray. It didn't seem like the wrong play at the time for cap reasons and all that, but I think that's what he's going to do. Even if it's not Pittsburgh, like I said, why weaken the team you're going to when you don't have to? I think Fleury has finally just realized, you know what, enough with the nice guy. Was a nice guy. He probably talked to Vegas and they told him how excited he was to come over there. And they told him, of course, you know, we're not looking to be your normal expansion team. We're going for the cup right away. And we'll sign you to a good contract. And I think probably gave him the feeling that he would be their guy throughout that contract. And, you know, gave him a no movement clause and all that kind of stuff like that. And then when push comes to shove, they bring in Lehner and throw him aside. And Pittsburgh, of course, kind of threw him aside. And I think he just eventually said, you know what, I'm taking care of myself now. I'm not going to go listen to all this stuff. I got a family. My kids are in school. I don't want to leave my family again and be gone through a playoff drive, and I don't want to weaken the team that I'm going to go to in the off season anyways. So forget it. Just too bad. I know that's basically what I think he's doing there, and I don't blame him. You know, I do think though that he's going to work out a deal with Pittsburgh for like 2 years or something, and kind of go side by side with Jari and try to get another cup with Pittsburgh. I think that's what's going to happen. But again, like if that's the case, why you could go this year and go for a cup run, but he has to weigh out his family and all that kind of stuff like that, and he would be gone for basically the rest of the year, and he wouldn't see his family for that time. I should get some light on the action here. There we go. So it makes sense that he wouldn't go there. As far as Carolina is concerned, I mean, systematically speaking, I think they're the best team in the league. On paper, there could be some issues. Now, what did you think, Lauren, of the Kekalainen signing for 8 years at 4.5 or whatever the case may be? If you're still there. You're still there? Yeah. What did you think of that signing? Maybe you're not at your computer right now. I liked it. I see nothing wrong with it. You don't like it? Really? Why? I think he could easily be a $4.5 million player for the next however many years. No problems at all. I mean, he's putting up limited minutes and still getting his points. You know, I don't know. I like the guy. He's a good two-way guy. He hasn't complained at all about, playing lower in the lineup. Seems like he's buying into the system all right. I don't know. I like it. I think it's probably going to pan out for him. I mean, there's always chances that a signing isn't going to pan out, but let me get you guys up here so I can go look at. There's always a chance that something's not going to pan out, but when you look at I mean, even at the point production he's getting now, he's almost a $4 million player. Did I say Kekalainen? Did I say Kekalainen? Kokiniemi is what I'm trying to say. 23 points in 56 games, and he really, he's not playing a lot of minutes. They're kind of preparing him for the system. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, Lauren, how well he does in that contract. The way Carolina is able to seem to get the best out of players. He's big. I always thought his two-way game was really advanced in Montreal. So, I mean, there's been comparisons to guys like Eller, and that's fair. And if he turns out to be a somewhat like an Eller type player in this at 4.5, I'd say you're getting pretty darn good value there. I don't mind it at all. Hudobin is out. What else was there? Oh, talking about Lars Eller, he entered COVID protocol. Again, the guy never can be in the lineup. If it's not one thing, it's another. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Andrew Kopp, there's talk. I think this is why, I mean, at first I thought maybe I was just being positive, and I thought maybe, I don't know where everyone is. It's weird. They'll probably pop in here as we go. I kind of put it up by surprise because I didn't know when I was going to start. So I didn't want to go say a time when it was going to start, but that would be a guy that maybe Carolina could look at, a guy like Andrew Kopp. But he could fit just about everywhere. If he is going to be up on the, if Andrew Kopp is going to be on the block, which I just can't see it, unless he really, is not keen on staying in Winnipeg. And then, of course, they'll have to move on from him. But, and maybe they think that. Let me bring up Winnipeg here. Wow, no cap space whatsoever. Andrew Kopp. Okay, he's injured at the moment too. 32 points in 54 games. He's 27 years old. His point production has gone up pretty much every year. Where is he from? He's from Michigan, though. He's from the United States. I could see him going to that very place, actually. I could see Detroit being all over that. 27-year-old, they need guys like him. Excellent two-way player. He didn't. Yeah, he's gonna his offense will go, is he's gonna probably put up his best offensive numbers if he's not injured now. And I could see a team like Detroit picking him up. The question really comes down to is, does he want to stay in Winnipeg or not? Because if he does, I just can't see Winnipeg not signing him. You would hope it would be Patrick Kane. Okay, I just did a Patrick Kane trade thing. And I didn't put Carolina in there. I don't know why. I just never thought about it. But I'm actually kind of surprised that you would say Patrick Kane in a little bit. But he does bring offense. And if there's one thing I could see Carolina looking towards is more offense. The problem is his defense. Lauren, if you had Kane and if you watch Kane on a regular basis, and I know you really appreciate your defensive players, I think it would frustrate you a little bit. He flies his zone quite a bit. He's soft as butter, but I mean, he would put up great offense with the likes of Aho and Svechnikov for sure. Well, yeah, I think they do. I mean, Kane would certainly provide that. They would have to retain $5 million, I'm sure. I don't know what I never even thought about it. I did the Kane video, and I never thought of Carolina when I did it. It's a weird trade too because, well, first of all, he'd have to okay the trade. And second of all, they would have to make room for him, I think. Because Jarvis is going to play in that spot eventually. Unless Nietzsche plays down the lineup, or I don't think, like, you wouldn't want I mean, what kind of a deal would you do? What kind of a deal would you do there, Lauren? It could. It could. I'm not 100% sure that it would cost a ton. Wow, Nietzsche is a bum now? Okay, well, you can put Nietzsche as part of the deal. I'm sure they would be happy with that. Nietzsche, they don't have a first. I don't know. I mean, because like he would have to okay the trade. So the hard part, and when I was doing the Kane trade video, I found it difficult because it's hard to see what the value is going to be because you don't know if he's going to give them a couple teams to work with or, like say, here's like 3 teams I'll go to. And then you got to wonder if those 3 teams are going to want Kane. I'm sure they would work together on a deal, but it's a very difficult deal because as soon as they say we are looking at the options out there for you, Kaner, now all of a sudden you're almost committed. Yeah, that would do it. I think that would do it right there, Lauren. I don't think you would even need the second, possibly, because it depends on how many teams are involved. But that deal, Nietzsche, Drury, Suzuki, would probably do it. That deal, that would probably do it, I think. Because, I mean, I think they would have to be happy that they get that kind of value from a guy who has an ironclad no trade clause. The question is, will Kane want to go to Carolina? That would be the big question. And I don't know about. I think it would do it. You know, I had the Islanders in there, although I don't think that would be wise for them. I could see them doing it. I had, who else did I have in there? Boston, but I never did put in Carolina. Maybe he would. Like, that's the thing about the trade is I don't know what the person's preferences for living is. We were talking about the Kane trade video I did, and he brought up Carolina, which I never really thought of at the time. I don't know why, because it does make some sense for sure. Carolina does struggle offensively. The thing, I think the reason why I kind of faded him is I think it would be very difficult for him to play in that Carolina system. I think it would be frustrating for Brind'Amour because he really expects and encourages guys to play well defensively. And Kane is terrible defensively. So that would be the problem there. It's his expected offense is through the roof, and if Brind'Amour can kind of like just choke back his tears while he watches Kane play defensively, he does bring enough offense to make up for it. You like the Panthers idea? Yeah. The Panthers would be, the great thing about going to the Panthers, of course, would just be the iconic nature of Kane. They have a difficult time bringing people to the building, even though they do well, which will grow. It'll get better. It'll grow in Florida. It grew in Tampa Bay when they were winning. But I mean, again, like, I think he would fit more into that system. They're not so in tune to the defense there in Florida. But man, oh man, that offense would be absolutely bloody insane. And even though he's never been good defensively, he did win 3 cups. So if you can put him with a Barkov who can cover up his defensive issues a little better. I probably wouldn't play Huberdeau on that because they're 2 kind of passers, although Kane's got a wicked shot too. Well, not shopping Jesse. Well, I'm not saying that Jesse Puljujarvi couldn't be part of a deal, but most of it right now is because of injury issues, I think. If I got into Edmonton and what they're going to do, I think it's plausible that somewhere down the road they could, but he's one of their best 2-way forwards, for one thing. He's one of their best 2-way forwards, and so it's really difficult to trade a guy when they don't really have a lot of 2-way forwards in their lineup. So, although he might be the best option to get a good, solid defenseman. Yeah, you're sort of solving. It's sort of like that's sort of like a lateral move. I think if I'm going to trade Puljujarvi in Edmonton, I'm looking at a defenseman. I don't think they would do it for a goaltender unless it was like a prime goaltender, because goaltenders just carry less value. I think if you're going to package Puljujarvi in a deal, be more for a defenseman. The Oilers wouldn't really need. They got Yamamoto there. I think if the Oilers were trading Puljujarvi, it would because they're trading from excess to fill a weakness. I would hope so, anyways. Like as it stands right now, if he's in the lineup, see, and you got to remember, Evander Kane's not going to be in the lineup next year probably. So What is Puyarvi? Yeah, he only plays right wing. Yeah, Zach Hyman can go to the left, I guess, and play in that spot again. Ryan McLeod has been playing pretty good on that top spot, on that second line left winger spot. And then Nugent Hopkins can play left wing as well. But then you're just left with no other right wingers. So it's kind of hard to trade him unless they have somebody to replace him. And eventually that could be Dylan Holloway. How is he doing in the minors right now? Yeah, and Dylan Holloway only has 12 points in 21 games in the minors right now. That's not the offense you want to see from a young guy in the AHL to bring him up. Like personally, for me, I don't like doing that anyways. I want to see a guy crush it in the AHL before I start thinking about bringing him up and playing him with the big boys. But down the road, maybe. Yeah, I don't. Good question. Good question. I don't know why they let Chatfield go either. Oh, Glenn Merschel. Wow, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while or ever. Pretty sure I've seen you before. Minnesota. They need to just be patient, I think. And goaltending, Talbot is an absolute disaster. I thought Talbot would be a lot better this year than that. Like if Minnesota was to go anywhere this year, it would have to be like picking up a Fleury. And from what I understand, Fleury's just going to ride out the season with Chicago. He doesn't want to change cities in season, probably family reasons or whatever the case may be. But I would say the first thing for Minnesota is goaltending. And I don't see a goaltender out there that's going to make them a contender this year. So I hate to say it, but I think they're just going to have to fly with what they got. And then next year, you got all that cap issue. Oh, yeah. Then next year, you got to have all that cap issue. And you got a couple of young guys. They got a couple of young guys coming up in Minnesota. I don't know why his name has escaped me now, and I want to see how he's doing in the minors. Marco Rossi. Marco Rossi, of course, I think he's doing all right. He's got 42 points in 46 games in the AHL. You know, he could be looking to take a spot next year. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to let these young players grow, and they're going to go with the team as it is. I just don't see another way. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure I saw it. I just hadn't seen you in a while, Glenn. Sorry if I forgot. Susie back. You could get Susie back. But I mean, does that make them a contender? No. They're not really going to be a true contender until they have a true number one, who I believe their thoughts are that Rossi is going to fill that spot. Maybe in the offseason they try to find another center for like a 2-year contract. But I don't think they want to trample on Rossi there. He's not a hitter. He's a center version of Caulfield, but I mean, he's got tons of talent. He's too small. He's not a big guy. He's got to gain strength, and I don't know if he's going to be ready next year. I can't tell you that. I do know that what I have heard is his core and lower body is just insane. Like he is an absolute beast when it comes to center of gravity and all of those sort of things like that. Yeah, you know what though? You can make a case that Minnesota was terrible without Dumba in the lineup. Now that can say more about their defense, but I agree. And now you said that they need some bigger defensemen. Again, I think that they are holding out and waiting for what they have two very good prospects on D. Coming up, like Lambeau and I love both of them actually. Ryan O'Rourke and Carson Lambeau. I think they're waiting for those guys to come up. From what I understand, in Iowa, O'Rourke is playing very well. I mean, he's never going to be an offensive guy, but he's got that size and defensive ability that they're looking for. And he's already got 33 games in the AHL. Now, I imagine they're going to get some veterans to help out there, but I honestly think that Minnesota, that they are looking this as a 3-4 year plan. When they bought out Suter and Parise, they were looking at this as a 3-year, 4-year plan. Maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle. Maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle. Yeah, but Rossi's skill level is way higher than Pitlick's. Rossi's skill level is way higher than Pitlick's. So, you know, if a player is a little softer, it's not so bad if he can crush it. You know, I would say Rossi is at least like a Granlund was when he was in Minnesota, or how he is now in Nashville. I don't know what's going to happen with the Russian players now that all is going on. I'm sure he'll get drafted, but it's going to kill his draft position for sure, I would say. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's done well for drafting and developing players, and I think they've got a lot of guys that they are looking to take over this roster in the long run. Like you said, that they have a lot of guys in college. They got that Kuznetsov kid in the KHL, who I love that pick. They picked him in the second round. Like, out of all the teams in the NHL, Minnesota has got to be right up there with my favorite draft picks that they have done in the last little while. Marek Kuznetsov at 37, I love that pick. But again, he's a smaller guy. I don't know if he's going to project as a center in the NHL. But, you know, he's got, 12 points in 32 games in the KHL, which means that they're playing him a lot in the KHL right now, which doesn't happen very often. It's not a ton of points, and I'm not sure he's ready right now, but I love that pick when they picked him for sure. I thought that was a great pick. And Jack McBain, unfortunately, that was another one, and he looks like he's going back. He's going to go right to free agency and pick a team that he wants to go to, which I can kind of New York Rangers have drafted well. Yeah, Vancouver is very good at the draft. And Ottawa, yeah, good point, Lauren. Well, I don't even know if he'll be ready next year. That's going to be up, day by day thing to find out what's going to happen with those Russian players, for sure. I know Vladislav, first off, he's already in college, fortunately for them. He doesn't look like he projects to be a high offensive player, though. But they drafted him as more like a third-line guy. And what is he, 20 years old now? So I don't know how he's going to turn out. He doesn't look like he has a high offensive upside, though. And then, Jack Pert and Philip Johansson. But my favorites for sure are Lambos, Ryan O'Rourke for defense, no doubt about that. And then, of course, there's Kalen Addison knocking on the door. So that's really what I think they're going to do. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be patient, and they're building this for like the buyout time. By the time that buyout is over, then they'll have cap room, and they will have built their pool the way they want it. And during that time, maybe they catch lightning in the bottle. They've got that young goaltender they picked up last year who's still doing really well in Sweden. That's what I think they're looking at, a 4 or 5 year plan, and maybe they catch lightning in a bottle and go for a run before that. But oh, you got the Vancouver draft guru? All right, on. It's nice to have Minnesota guys back. There was a couple guys in here before they were Minnesota guys, and I think they got upset with me because they thought I was crapping on the Minnesota team because I said I didn't think they were a contender this year. And they kept on bringing up guys that were saying that they were, could win the cup this year and their reasons and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, we'll see. But I just never could see them as a contender this year with the goaltending they had, the defense depth, and, they didn't really have a number one. And unfortunately, they haven't been back. I hope they do come back sometime. Do you remember what their names were, Lauren? Those two guys who used to come and talk Minnesota a lot? I really liked them, but I just disagreed, that's all. Well, I mean, that's the reason I think that they don't keep them. I trust Minnesota's player development. You don't remember them? I trust Minnesota's player development. So he's a small guy. He's got to get stronger physically. There's a lot to learn as a defenseman, especially when you're on the smaller side, on how to play well. And, Minnesota has a guy that had to learn that, and now he's one of the best in the league in Spurgeon. Maybe one of the most underrated defensemen in the league, but he had to learn to play that way. It took him a while for Spurgeon to become what he is today. I just want to look at, if I remember correctly, is he 32 now? Holy smokes. Wow, I didn't realize he was that old already. Wow, 32 years old. So it's 2010 years ago when he was 22. See, when he was 22, he only had 12 points in 53 games. And then they put him down to the AHL for a while in that year. The following year, he was 23 and he had 23 points. And then he played like a full schedule. But it wasn't until he was 23 years old. And I don't think Kalen Addison is quite to the level of Spurgeon. So, it takes a while for those smaller players to be able to learn how to play the game at the NHL level in a effective defense and offensive way. Yeah, he's got all the talent to do very well, no doubt about that. No doubt about that, Glenn. But Spurgeon, the same thing. When he was 20, 21, when they played him, you could tell, like, this kid's going to play. Kalen Addison, you can pretty much tell he's going to play. It's just, there's a whole, I'm not there developing a guy. Get the grind of an 82-game season, things that they want to work on to sharpen him up, especially for smaller players defensively. Spurgeon took that time. He had to learn to be that player. So Addison is going to have to learn that as well. And then I don't know. I think he's going to be a nice mix with Lambeau and O'Rourke as big, solid defensive type guys, and then you put in a guy like Addison. You know, you look at a guy like Grzelcyk in Boston. He look at how long he's taken. Grzelcyk and Addison to me are like similar players. Grzelcyk doesn't put up a ton of offense, but he's a good puck mover. He's smart. Addison's a really smart player. He's a really good. He thinks the game well. Whenever I see him on there, he knows. He has a good hockey IQ. He seems to me, but it's just putting it all together there. That's all. Dumba and a first for Chychrun. I think it's going to cost you more than that for Chychrun. Chychrun's injured right now, but hey, CL, how you doing, buddy? I think it's going to cost. Chychrun's going to be expensive, Glenn, and I don't really see why Arizona would want to take a Dumba back in that deal. They might as well just keep Chychrun. I would say. See, the Arizona's got a big problem too. They're going to be in a 5,000 seat stadium for the next couple of years, so they're basically going to be playing off the cap floor. They're going to basically be keeping at the cap floor, and that's it, because their revenue is not going to be strong enough to be able to do anything else, and they'll probably still be losing money. They got a huge challenge there. To give you an example, I've heard like going to Florida for guys like Tippett, a first-round pick, Denisenko, a lot of top prospects there. Right now, from what I understand, they want a first and 2 top prospects. So you're looking at like a first-round pick, one of either Lambeau or Ryan O'Rourke, and another prospect for a guy like Chychrun. So I don't know how much do you like him now. Carolina, man, you forgot your own team there. Carolina. Like I said, I mean, okay, say you want to go a guy like Spurgeon, they're going to have to find another team. Spurgeon's 32 years old, so they're not going to want a 32-year-old guy there. Now, if you can do a 3-way deal and then trade Spurgeon somewhere, everything's workable. I'm sure there's a market out there for Spurgeon if you want to trade him, for sure. There's a team out there that would be happier than heck. I'd have to think about it. So you could go Spurgeon, Lambos and a first, or something like that, and then they could go around the league and say, hey, look, we're thinking about bringing Spurgeon in, but it doesn't really work with us. What would you give us for it? And I imagine they could get a first and a very good prospect for Spurgeon out there. I mean, I would do it. I love Spurgeon. But yeah, you have zero faith in their scoring. But in the playoffs, I think their game translates well. There's a lot of low-scoring games, and I don't know if there's a better defensive team out there right now. They got a little tired in that Pittsburgh game, but if both all things being equal, I think Carolina beats Pittsburgh a lot. They just have a very frustrating defensive system. But I agree, they could use another one-shot shooter, like that one-shot shooter, and those are hard to find. Yeah, I mean, Chychrun would be an amazing acquisition, no doubt about it. There's a lot of people talking about him, if he was on a good team, being a future Norris Trophy candidate. So I'm not poo-pooing on that. I'm just saying that he's going to be expensive, that's for sure. If I'm Minnesota, I'm definitely looking at the possibility of getting a guy like that. The other thing is, okay, he's got a couple years at a reasonable contract, but Minnesota is going to be capped out because of those 2 contracts that they have. That's why I think that they're just going to kind of float the way they are and let the prospects work their way into the lineup. I really think that's what Minnesota is going to do. And they will get bigger with Ryan O'Rourke and Lambeau there. So, yeah. Yeah, Minnesota, I mean, they don't have the depth right now to make it through a full 82. Yeah, and I was saying that when the other Minnesota guys were here, like that's what I was kind of leaning towards, that, you know, Minnesota's got a lot of great pieces. It's not that I don't like them as a team. It's that, I mean, as where the direction they're going, I love the direction that they're going, but they're just not there yet. And they're not going to be there yet. And I don't think there's one player out there that's going to make them there yet. When you look at the competition you're talking about, Lawrence team, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Colorado, I mean, those teams on paper are miles ahead of Minnesota. Well, he's going to take his option and be able to find, I don't know what McBain will try to do. Where was he from? I think I just looked that up. Did I look it up? Yeah. Oh, he's from Canada. He's from Toronto. That's probably where he's going, dude. I'll bet you that's where he's going. But I mean, that would be kind of a silly move. So maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Detroit. That's right by Toronto. You know, he's got the opportunity to set himself up to go exactly where he wants to go. Uh, you know, Minnesota has Rossi coming up. He's the guy. He may be looking to go somewhere like Ottawa, where they desperately need centers right now, and he's got an opportunity to be a top 3 guy, or he, you know, something like that. Like he's got that option, and I don't blame him for taking that option. Or okay, yes, his dad did play. That's right, his dad did play for Winnipeg, and I'm sure Winnipeg would be happier than heck to have him. No doubt about that. Hey, Doug, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming in, man. Panthers and Hurricanes. What did Lauren say? Lauren had somebody else. And Pittsburgh, yeah. Doug, don't count out Pittsburgh quite yet. Pittsburgh, maybe. I think they don't have enough in their lineup. They have a great system, but Pittsburgh will probably get beat down. Win 1, maybe 2 rounds, and run out of gas. So I kind of get what you're saying there, but those would be the real contenders, I would think, and then like slightly Pittsburgh as well. And doing really well, buddy. Doing really well. But I say hi to Glenn here. He's a Minnesota fan. We've been talking Minnesota. And yeah, I just can't see them going any other way. There was talk about Minnesota going out and getting Miller. If he was available, I don't see them putting a lot of money into free agents. I think this is going to be an organic growth idea. you got to remember, Billy Guerin came from systems of played most of his career in New Jersey and Pittsburgh. And New Jersey and Pittsburgh both, they grew their teams organically primarily. You know, they really did draft and development well. And I really think that that's the direction Guerin is going to go for most of the players on that lineup. Now, you got the big Fiala issue. That'll be interesting. I could see Fiala being moved for a center. Something like that, maybe. But the reason why they'd be trading Fiala is because, again, the whole cap space issue. And so how much of a center are you going to get? I'm not sure. Flames and Blues, yeah. Yeah, he could go to, yes, there you go. McBain could go to, maybe, I mean, all the players seem to like to go to New York, right? Young dude, lots of money. New York is an exciting place. So, yeah, the Rangers or the Islanders, possibly. The Islanders would be all over that because I mean, there's a good example. You got the Islanders. They need young players like desperately. And I'm sure they would be able to work in a roster spot pretty quick for them if they like them. You get to be coached by one of the greatest coaches of all time, Barry Trotz. And he plays a type of game, I believe, McBain, that the Islanders would appreciate. See, 22, 6'3". Yeah, he's big. Put up 33 points in 24 games. You know, if that's the kind of place that he's looking at for sure. Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo is always looking for young players right now. When you have that kind of ability to have that kind of leverage to go where you want to go, you know, really look at everything and pick the place that's going to be the perfect pick for you, it's kind of hard not to take it. I just can't see it. They love Dumba there in Minnesota. I can't see it. But yeah, that's a good point, man. Mark. McBain should definitely go to New York or something like that. Well, I have a feeling he's still going to be there, dude. You look at everything that they look at. They've bent over backwards to keep Dumba twice now in 2 expansion drafts. You know, losing like guys like Alex Tuck and guys like that to keep them. They have a love affair with them, and I don't know how that works in there or why or whatever. I mean, I don't mind the guy; he's a good defenseman, but is he that good that you gave up Alex Tuck and stuff to Vegas to not lose him? You couldn't have traded him somewhere for I don't know. He could be, yeah. I mean, that's very possible. The Rangers tend to get all those college guys too. So, but I mean, Toronto has some value too. Toronto will probably be in there because they're looking for cheap guys, cheap options, young or whatever, to be able to play right now with their cap space. So, if he wants to go to Toronto and Toronto wants him, that's a very good possibility. I gotta say, you gotta have a lot of balls to be from Toronto and want to play for Toronto, and that media attention and everything that goes there. Everybody says, yeah. I mean, he's an offensive guy, so I don't know what to say. His expected offense is really good, and those kind of guys are going to turn over the puck sometimes. But defensively, he's not great. I agree. I mean, I don't know what the big love affair with him really is. I mean, I would like him on my team. if I was an Oilers fan, I mean, I would like him, but you know, at the time, it wasn't just Tuck; it was somebody else too. Like they gave up a crap load for him, so they could keep him. And then when they signed Brodeen, I thought, okay, maybe they're looking at trading Dumba now, but no. You got a feeling it's a three-peat for Tampa? Tell you, that'll be something else if it is. I know when they played against Edmonton, I was like, this does not look like a three-peat team, but it's an 82-game schedule. I was really surprised with the poor effort in Edmonton. And then I didn't watch the game last night against Vancouver, but they pulled it off. And must have, like, they tightened up the. Oh, yeah? Wish I could have seen it, but I'm not in Minnesota. But yeah, I mean, McBain going to the Rangers makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know what's in his idea. Like, he he probably has an organization that he's looking towards, or he's going to explore his options. And I know those are pretty good numbers that he's got for. Let's see, he had 19 points in 24 and 33 points in 24 games in the final in his senior year. I mean, he's not a stupendous player, but he's he's big, he's solid. Hopefully, he can be a third line center. And why he didn't want to sign in Minnesota? He just has the like. He obviously held out all the way through too. So I think he had his idea that he was going somewhere the whole time. And you never know, they might have even expressed that to Minnesota, and Minnesota drafted him just hoping he would change his mind. For his rights. Yeah, he wants a second for him. I don't really understand how that works. Like, they give him a second rounder so they can negotiate with him beforehand, but he doesn't even have to sign there. Like, he doesn't have to sign anywhere. So I'm not really sure why somebody would give up a second. I would have to think that a team would probably already know whether they were going to get him or not. So I'm not sure how that works, to tell you the honest truth. Like, why? I don't know why a team would give up a second round pick for a guy that just has to wait it out and become a free agent. You know, I knew that off the top of my head, but I'm going to look it up just to make sure. I think it's the 21st, isn't it? Yeah, March 21st. And it usually starts at like noon or something, doesn't it? Three p.m. Eastern. Oh, until 3 p.m. So I think it just goes all day. It's until 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is 1 o'clock my time. No, 3 p.m. How does that entry contract work? It's just what it says. You can only get like 800 and some thousand, and then you got performance bonus, some performance bonuses. and you get a three-way deal. So yeah, you can negotiate before the deadline, I guess. But I don't see how giving up a second round pick gives you that much. It gives you really any leverage. Yeah, just 1 week away from the trade deadline. And when we were on here before, people asked me what my opinion was on if it was going to be a super strong deadline, and I thought it was, but there's starting to be guys falling out to make it. I don't know. Like Chikrin, is he going to be ready? He just got injured again. Kane is probably not going to go. Fleury says he doesn't want to go. You know, Sherrod is going to get traded. Petrie's probably going to get traded. I don't know what they're going to do with, what's his name? Winnipeg, I mean, it's hard for them to trade away players unless they want to go. I think Laine is going to stay in Columbus. Domi, Max Domi maybe. Kopp got hurt. That's right. There you go. Kopp got hurt. You know, a lot of these guys are getting injured and stuff like that that look like they could be part of this deadline. And then you got teams like Detroit. They've been rebuilding for a while, and they're really not. They really don't have any. I've heard stuff about Bertuzzi, but I don't know why they would trade him. Zadina, maybe. And then Anaheim, of course. All things I'm hearing is they're going to sign Lindholm and they're going to sign Manson. So besides that, what are you trading? Unless Gibson is finally fed up enough, maybe that. If there was a time to trade Gibson, this would be the time. This deadline would be the time. It's hard to trade. I mean, he's had a terrible year. The last 2 years, he looks really dejected to be in Anaheim. I think he sees his career going by the wayside. If I would say there would be like the big surprise trade of the year this year, it would be Gibson. I've heard Bertuzzi and Zadina rumors. I don't know what the Bertuzzi rumors are about. And maybe it was because he take a bridge, so they're afraid that he's not. They possibly think he's not in for the long term. And then, of course, he didn't sign. He took a bridge. How old is he? He's 27. So it wasn't a. He's got one more year in his contract and he becomes a free agent. So that would be maybe why they don't foresee them being able to sign him long term. I think Detroit's going to take care of that stuff in the off season. I don't think Detroit's going to do much at the deadline to take care of all that stuff. I do think that Detroit will fill some holes here, but maybe trading Bertuzzi might have something to do with another center because they don't really have a second line center. And I mean, if he doesn't sound like if his price tag, if he's pricing himself higher than they're comfortable with. But besides that, I don't see why they would be trading him. Who, though? Vancouver is right on the precipice of making the playoffs. So I don't see Miller going out there. You know, Leddy, whatever. You know, like Giroux, the big names are going to, Giroux is going to move almost for sure. And it sounds like he's going to Colorado. So you got that. Sherratt is pretty much for sure on the move. I think Petrie probably. I don't think the Islanders are going to do much, even though they're out of it. I think they're going to try to get some rest and go back at it next year. If they can find a place for Hoffman, but I mean, Hoffman's not what you really call a playoff performer. Maybe Carolina takes the cheap on Hoffman to get a goal scorer on the power play or something, but he's pretty expensive at 4.5 for the role he can play. I don't see it. I don't see anybody taking that 5.5 on Josh Anderson. Maybe somebody will. He's horrible defensively, but he can beat up people in the corners, and he's got a killer shot if they want to trade that. Yeah, I don't think Detroit's going to do much. There's not much. That's the problem. Is a lot of the teams that are missing. Oh, and then like Chicago still will have some guys that are going to go. Davidson has come out and said they're rebuilding, but I don't. You know, Kane and Taves is not a deal you're going to do at a deadline. That's going to take some time to do a deal like that. Besides that, I mean, and there was more injuries that just happened with Chicago, I believe. Yeah, wasn't it Connor Murphy, who I thought was a possibility, and they don't know when he's going to be back. I think it was a bad injury too. You know, Calvin DeHaan, he's a free agent. I could see him going somewhere, and I bet you they get a good return for him. Maybe Jake McCabe, but besides that, there's really. Oh, and I hear Dominic Kubalik is gone too. He hasn't had a great year. He's making 3.7. They'll probably get a second-round pick for him for somebody. I watched. I did the play. I did I did an analyst thing with Peyton on the radio for that game, and it wasn't as much as Edmonton played well as much as Tampa Bay played terrible. Tampa Bay, I don't know where they were in that game, but they had no pushback whatsoever in that game. I don't know what happened there, but it was really bad. It was ugly, to tell you the honest truth. That's why I thought that Detroit might be in on Chychrun, but the ask might be just too high. But I could see them going to get a younger veteran out there, like a DeHaan. Maybe DeHaan from Chicago. He's a free agent, like somebody like that. He's not old, but he's not young either. Like somewhere around there, a veteran. Sign him to a couple years. I got a question for you, Doug. when it comes to Detroit, and I don't hear anybody talking about this. That was Elliott. Elliott was in net. But the whole team just played terrible. Is it time for Blashill to go, Doug? I'm not seeing. I think Blashill is done at the end of the year. There's my take on that. I think Blashill's done. I just, this team, that Detroit team is not playing enough with enough heart right now, and I think he's done everything he can. I think it's just. I don't know. What do you think, Doug? The last couple games, I mean, they're just not listening at all. I know they don't have the greatest. I know that their manpower is not going to be great to be a defensive team, but they're not even trying defensively. Like on most of the games that they're playing, it is really bad, really bad. I'm just thinking that maybe, you know, the voice has just worn out on them. What do you think? Yeah, I would, like, seriously though, Edmonton played well for them, but Tampa played terrible. Yeah, yeah, I had Philadelphia to win that game. Philadelphia can't hold a lead to save their life. They as soon as they get up, they're down. Third periods are a disaster for Philadelphia. But yeah, when you got two guys out of the playoffs there, and you know players are trying to score to stay in the lineup, like they are, that can make for some pretty exciting games. And they're both trying to play for pride right now. I don't know if he can go one more year with Blashill now. I don't know. We'll see what Stevie does. I mean, he's a huge backer of Blashill. Obviously, he's been there a long time. And it's not that I think that Blashill is a bad coach. Here's something. Think of this. I just have a feeling. Paul Maurice. I just have a feeling Paul Maurice. Yeah, Pillock's a good young guy that it's just being able to keep up to the physical toll of the NHL every night is the problem with Pitlick. That's the reason why he doesn't stick. I think is because he has a difficult time. You know, he goes into the guys like Sheary, guys like that really can only handle like 10 minutes a night, something like that. I think that's where he's eventually going to land as a player, somewhere around there. Let me bring up that Philly game. Hayes and a Suzuki, Caulfield, Weidman. Suzuki potted 2. Cam Atkinson got another one. Where did he get 2? I think he just got 1. Rem Pitlick just got 1 goal. And how many points? Like, he hasn't played a lot. That's 12 goals. I never noticed that. Oh, they played him in the middle, too. They don't. Why didn't they add this up? So he's got 12 goals in 43 games. I mean, it's hard to. It's hard to ignore his offense. That's for sure. If only Datsuk would apply. Yeah. Are they playing the Devils next? They lost the last 5. Well, they better not win that one because they are right on the precipice of a playoff spot. Losing to Tampa Bay was tough. The question with Vancouver is when are they going to peter out here? I mean, they're playing, even if they do make the playoffs, they're probably going to be pretty gassed. It's tomorrow, right? Yeah, Vancouver versus New Jersey. And that's in New Jersey, in Vancouver. When was the last time Vancouver, when New Jersey played? So they got 2 days off and they travel out west to Vancouver. It's weird that they have that kind of record against Vancouver because I wonder how much that was home and away. You do think that they're gonna Blashill's gonna be gone? Yeah. Whenever I see those trends, I like to try to put some logic to it as to why. The last 5 games would have been because they only play each other twice. So don't they only play each other twice a year? So that would have been probably one at home and one away. Yeah, I'd have to look at like were they playing New Jersey on back to backs against like after playing the Rangers, or was it what were the spots that they lost in? And that's going to be yeah, and I think that if I remember that correctly, I think that's possibly part of the reason why this is that they're always catching New Jersey at the end of that Eastern trip. Yeah, Swayman, yeah, he's just a young guy, man. He's going to be fantastic, but it's a lot on his plate now because Allmark isn't the guy, that's for sure. That makes some sense. Stastny would fill a center role for now. Uh, Winnipeg is pretty much out of it. So yeah, that would make sense because that basically the value in that is he was going to Winnipeg anyways. And because he wanted to play where his dad played. Uh, and yeah, if I remember correctly, his dad did finish up in Detroit, but he played most of his career in Winnipeg. So that would basically be a trade where Minnesota can work out a deal with Stastny to stay there to fill in the hole of until Rossi's ready. Maybe. And he can play in the playoffs for them, which will make them a little stronger. That makes sense. And McBain can just go to Winnipeg early, so he can just get his life going early, and that makes a lot of sense. I do like that. That makes sense. That makes sense for sure. That makes so much sense. I'll be surprised if that doesn't happen, Glenn. Yeah, Arizona, you can't give up on Arizona. Well, I don't know about that game tonight. Like, Arizona has been on the road forever. I gotta figure Ottawa will likely win that game, but I'm not going against Arizona right now in any situation, really. Oh my God, they play Ottawa tonight and then Montreal tomorrow. And what did they already do? And this is their fourth game on the road. And then a back-to-back, and they play Montreal. That's a crazy trip, man. I will say this, Montreal tomorrow against Arizona. I can't, whatever happens in this game, I take Montreal tomorrow against Arizona. There's just no team on that type of a road trip in the Eastern Conference with all the time changes and everything. I don't think there's a team in the league that you can back on that. Yeah, I'm looking at the over. I think Arizona could probably, because they got that Gustafson kid. Arizona team total over 2.5 for like a very little bit. They may be too tired to push that, but that would be about it. Yeah, and the first period over. I got first period over too. That's funny. I got the same as MJ. That's good. No, the players can't play that for 20 minutes. I'm not a fan of the shootout either, but it's going nowhere. So there's not much discussion about it. Shootouts are going nowhere. Sponsors absolutely love it. Uh, the advertising dollar for shootouts is insane. They the average fan loves the shootout. It's going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. As long as it doesn't go in the playoffs. If you don't retain, maybe. Oh, nice. Yeah, I got over first period too. Yeah. Yeah, they can't go 20 minutes like that. The players would die though. Most like long-term fans, like diehard fans, are not shootout, but most fans are not diehard fans. They're looking for excitement and whatever. They're not overly emotionally invested in the game. They go with their family and see a hockey game, and that shootout thing adds a level of excitement where it's just one play, one play, one play, one play. You can say whatever you want in the shootout. The audience viewing on television increases when there's a shootout. When I'm doing live streams, right, the last 10 minutes of the game, all the way up to the shootout, the the amount of people watching goes up and up and up. Yeah, of course, I like it too. I mean, when 3-on-3 came, when 3-on-3 came in, there was a lot of purists that didn't like that either. And I wasn't. I mean, I knew it'd be exciting. I'm not a shootout fan, but heck, if it draws more people in and more money, then fine, I guess. There's no, you can't just keep on going for that long. That's the other thing. And when the game goes so late, there's less people go to bed. So that's part of the reason why they just do a shootout like that, because they got to have a time frame for when the game's going to end and all that. It's just not going to change no matter what you do. It's just not going to change. Oh yeah, Calgary. I had Colorado for sure. It's just a tough spot for Calgary. They played a lot of games on the road, back to back, revenge game. I wish I would have put more on Colorado there, actually. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I know I'm with you 100%. I quite often don't even watch the shootout. But you know what? If you're into betting on games, you can't tell me you're not watching the shootout. Before I was doing handicapping, I never watched the shootout. Yeah, maybe they should not have icing. I agree. I actually totally agree with you there. But the thing about how, yeah, then there'd be less ties. I agree with that. And in the 3-on-3, I think there should be, uh, I think they got to do something about the way they come back over the red line. Like, I think if you go back past the red line, you can't carry the puck back. But even then, a guy will just shorten up and wait for the pass and go. So that 3-on-3, if there was a way to do that over and back like basketball. I think that if Vancouver makes the playoffs, it's they're going to be too pooched. I think they're going to be too pooched. I think they could make the playoffs, and Boudreau is a great coach, and I'm glad that he's getting recognition for that, because he's had the stigma of not being able to do it in the playoffs, and that might be the case here, and it again won't be his fault. It's just they've been playing playoff games for a long time now, and when every win matters like that, and you try and you push that way, by the time the playoffs come, I don't think they're going to have much left. Yeah, it was a bad spot for St. Louis. It was their first game back off of a long road trip. Those are tough. Those are tough. And that's these little things like you go on a long road trip, you come home, you've been together as a group, grinding it out, and then you get home and it's like you can't help but relax, right? And or you go home and you've got family issues, family stuff, or just, you know, relaxing with the family. It's a change of energy. And then you got to get back to the groove again on your first game back, and you're still tired from the road trip. And it's a tough spot for it's a tough spot for teams. Yeah, I don't know what I kind of agree with you on no extra point. Yeah, if you lose, you lose. And then they wouldn't be trying to get to the overtime to begin with as much. Yeah, I can't remember why they didn't go that direction. You know what I think it is? I think it's to keep parity in the league. That's why. They want, especially when you have the expansion teams and stuff, they want it to be close to the end, right to the playoffs. They don't want the league wants it so it's a tight race all the way up to the playoffs, because the teams the less teams out of it, the more money people make. It's all about money, man. That's the ultimate reason why they make all these decisions. That if you have that extra point, there's more teams that are still in the playoff race come the deadline, or when right to the end of the season, and more people interested in the games. If your average fan, the average fan only likes one team. That's theirs. And that's the average fan. Like, we're sitting here and it's just it's just us. Like the group that we have here, we'll watch all the games, right? If there's a game on, we'll watch the game. So we're diehards. But diehards don't make up the average fan. So they have that extra point. So, like, say you're a Nashville fan. Nashville picked up like 3 or 4 extra points or whatever, 5 throughout and now they're like 3 points out of a playoff race. I'm going to watch that game. When my team is 8 points out of a playoff race, I may not watch that. The average fan. And I'm a Blue Jays fan, okay? I'm not a baseball fan necessarily. I'm your average fan in baseball. And I'll tell you right now, when Toronto's out of it, I'm not watching all that much. I will watch it, but I'm not making a point of watching it. So it's just the case. It's just the way it is, and those are the statistics and numbers that they work on. How many people are going to be watching that game? Us diehard fans, if they don't take the extra point away, guess what? We're not going to stop watching. We may bitch about it. We might complain. We don't like the shootout and all that, but you know what? We're still going to watch it because we're diehards and we're going to watch. They don't need to make us happy. Again, that's all done. That's all for revenue reasons. The 1 and 8, the 1 versus 8 has several. There's also travel reasons for that. But the 1 versus 8, like, let's say this year we go 1 versus 8. See what it'll be. It sucks, but that's what all the decisions are made by, pretty much. It's all about. like right now, it would be Washington versus Carolina. And the West is even more so. Colorado versus Vegas. That's some pretty big travel there. And I think a lot of it has to do with travel, but it also has to do with tight positioning. So, like, you got two very even teams playing in the first round. I think that's what mostly that is about. More people watching. I think it should be. I honestly think that they should add one or two now, and have like yeah. I know people like that with baseball too. They only watch baseball when the playoffs are. I know lots of people like that. But hockey's growing, eh? So like it's a growing sport, especially in the United States. So more and more, you're going to get the average fan is going to start watching more during the regular season, and you're going to get more and more diehards as you go. But right now, they're trying to capture especially where the league is right now in its growth. It's growing a lot. We finally got a major U.S. network, and they're doing a great job, by the way. TNT is doing a fantastic job of selling the sport. I think. And as we get more, you may see maybe they don't go so much with the shootout stuff. But right now, the average fan, they're the ones that are going to get the nod when it comes to decision making. Because I mean, especially right now, the way hockey's trying to grow, we're still trying to bring in fans in Florida. We're still trying to bring in fans in all these non-hockey markets, so to speak. So if these little gimmick things work and they know the numbers and I guess they know that, then I guess they work. Do we got any more new stuff coming in here today? Here's something cool. There's no doubt they're talking about draft capital here. I think they're talking about the possibility of Bill Armstrong trading his pick for next year's draft. There's no doubt that the excitement around next year's draft is palpable. Not only is there Bedard and Michkov at the very top, although Michkov's status is complicated, yeah, but an early feeling that in 2023 will be an impressive draft well into the middle rounds. That opinion manifested in a recent trade between Toronto and Arizona. In it, the Maple Leafs surrendered a conditional pick that is either 2023 third or 2025 second. Yeah, that makes sense. Like the 2023 third that they got is almost like a second. They believe that 2023 would be a very strong draft and that they would take the pick if the player is there. Oh, there's a guy. Apparently, Craig Anderson is getting some talk out there. The 40-year-old Anderson. I could see that as a backup somewhere. Complaining that it was a Gretzky love fest? Why would you complain about that? The guy's amazing. That part I think is ridiculous for sure, Glenn. Local games blacked out, that's a joke. I'm with you on that. That is ridiculous. They got to do something about that. And in Canada now, when they're doing back-to-back games in the evening, they don't start the next game until after the first game is done. You can't watch it anywhere. And it's like halfway through the game already and they play it. They got to do something about that too. It's ridiculous. And not getting local games it's all a money grab. It's a money grab. Oh, there always is. Minnesota, Minnesota High School and Minnesota College, like they're one of some of the best draft and development systems out there for sure. Well, guys, I got to get going, man. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you for coming in. I might be on tomorrow. I think I'm going to be really busy tomorrow. Either tomorrow or Wednesday I'll be on. I wish I could get on more of a schedule, but things just have got really busy for me. So I'll let you go. Thank you very much for coming on. Awesome, Mark Brown. Glenn, thanks for coming in, buddy. Thanks for watching that video, and I'm going to try to catch some live streams this week. I'll let you know when I'm going to be on there. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.